Now, finding hope in uncertain times in song. The singer-songwriter Hozier is out with his second album that debuted at #1 on the charts last month. Jeffrey Brown caught up with the Irish musician in Orlando recently for our ongoing arts and culture series, Canvas.
All the fear and the fire of the end of the world.
On his new album, Wasteland Baby, Hozier evokes scenes of the apocalypse.
Like a bonfire that burned, that all words in the fight fell to.
He calls them love songs for the end of the world. But they come wrapped in a velvet baritone and a sense of humor.
It's not about delivering certainly bad news, but even just engaging with those anxieties and engaging with them honestly and just laying them out there. And that can be done in a fun way. I'd be a bad Irishman if I wasn't able to pull some fun out of that, you know what I mean?
Hozier, his full name is Andrew Hozier Byrne, was 23 and writing songs in his parents' attic when he penned the one that catapulted him from obscurity to fame in 2013. Take Me to Church is a searing criticism of the Catholic Church, with a music video depicting and denouncing anti-gay violence. Not the usual stuff of top 40 hits. But it topped the charts in a dozen countries and was nominated for Song of the Year at the Grammys.
And I could cry.
His new album again speaks to current events, opening with the rousing Nina Cried Power, featuring an icon of soul, Mavis Staples, and paying tribute to a long list of singers, including Nina Simone, who used their voices to demand justice.
2016, it was just an interesting time. You had a kind of an upswing of rhetoric, which was at times fairly ugly or othering or divisive, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to write something that was decidedly hopeful and that looked to a spirit of kind of solidarity and looked to also a legacy of solidarity. We could call it protest music if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I wasn't hearing a huge amount of it in the kinds of music that I was making.
Born in County Wicklow, Ireland, Hozier grew up with American blues and soul music.
My dad was would have been a gigging musician, a live kind of gigging musician nearly full time. I remember hearing soul music for the first time. I was always drawn to voices. I was a singer before I could play anything else.
Yeah.
I had fallen in love with the voice of people like Nina Simone and Billie Holiday, and voices like Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters. To me, that was music for men and women. And I think my peers were listening to what I felt was music for boys and girls. Everything else seemed trivial.
Soon he was following in his father's footsteps.
The first band I was in, I was 15 years old, covering soul music, covering Booker T and the MGs. I'm a 15-year-old, 14-year-old playing community halls or back gardens, with local punk kids and stuff like that.
And you're playing and you're covering Booker T and the MGs.
Yeah. We were an odd sight.
Fast forward to fast fame, but it was 5 years before he felt ready to put out a second album. One on which this self-described news junkie poured out his anxieties about the state of the world in his own country and abroad.
Wasteland, baby.
On songs like the title track, Wasteland Baby. But remember, it's still a love song.
Wasteland, baby. I'm in love with you.
The exclamation mark, the baby exclamation mark, I think is the right smile to it. But of course, there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek to it.
Yeah. So there's doom and gloom, but with a wry smile, you're saying.
I think so.
How do you do the mix?
Yeah, I do think it's a hopeful record. I think it's, even though it's a lot of the context is a bit of doom and gloom. I think it's always looking for the kind of silver lining of the capacity that we all still have for warmth, even in the worst scenario.
Oh, my goodness is gone with your love.
And at a time when artists churn out new music at breakneck speed and celebrity can come and go quickly, Hozier is determined to move at his own pace.
I feel like a bit of a dinosaur sometimes of sitting down with a guitar and going away and writing the music and then coming back and saying, look what I've done. The challenge is to make sure that hopefully you have something that's worth saying, or people want to hear, or people feel that is worth saying. 10, 20 years, 30 years down the line. That's really the challenge, is having a career and growing with your music and having an audience that come with you.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Jeffrey Brown in Orlando, Florida.
I wouldn't know where it starts with music playing in the dark. It's still my foolish heart, don't ruin the song.
And Jeff says he's a news junkie.